Words can be weapons. Not all questions are asked to understand. Some are asked to confuse, control, or provoke you. A calm mind must learn the difference. A wise person does not rush to answer every question. They first ask themselves, is this question honest, or is it a trap? Today we will look at 4 questions liars often use, not to teach fear, but to teach awareness. Not every question deserves an answer, because not every question is asked with honesty. Some questions are designed to guide you toward confusion rather than clarity. They appear simple, but they carry hidden intentions. A calm mind learns to pause before speaking, not because it is afraid, but because it understands that words once released cannot be taken back. Speech is an action, and every action should be guided by reason. Many people believe that silence is weakness. This belief is false. Silence can be a deliberate choice made by someone who understands the situation clearly. When a question is meant to provoke emotion, any answer will serve the one who asked it. Anger, defense, or explanation all give energy to manipulation. A wise person notices this and chooses not to feed it. Questions can be tools. In honest hands they search for truth. In dishonest hands they seek control. Some questions force you to explain yourself when you have done nothing wrong. Others push you to accept assumptions that are not true. Once you respond, you may find yourself trapped inside a story that was written for you. The calm mind refuses to step into such traps. You are not responsible for satisfying the curiosity of others, especially when that curiosity is not respectful. Your time, attention, and words are limited resources. Giving them freely to anyone who demands them leads to exhaustion and loss of self-respect. Restraint is not avoidance. It is the ability to choose wisely. A person grounded in reason understands that explanations are only useful when they serve understanding. When someone has already decided what they want to believe, no amount of explanation will change their mind. In such moments, speaking more only deepens misunderstanding. Silence preserves clarity and protects inner balance. There is also dignity in knowing that you do not need to justify your existence, your choices, or your boundaries. When a question challenges your right to choose, answering it may mean surrendering that right. A steady mind recognizes this and holds firm. It does not argue for permission to be itself. Some questions are asked to shift blame. Others are meant to distract from the real issue. By answering them, you move away from truth and into confusion. Choosing not to answer keeps you aligned with what matters. It keeps your focus on what is within your control rather than on the emotions of others. Patience is essential here. The urge to respond quickly often comes from pride or fear. Pride wants to prove something. Fear wants to defend itself. Neither leads to wisdom. Taking a moment of silence allows reason to rise above impulse. It creates space between the question and your response, where clarity can exist. A calm person understands that not answering is still a response. It signals boundaries. It shows awareness. It reflects self-command. Those who rely on manipulation often grow uncomfortable with silence because it denies them leverage. In that discomfort, their intentions become clearer. When you stop answering every question, you regain control of your inner world. You stop being pulled into unnecessary conflict. You conserve energy for what truly matters. The habit of thoughtful silence strengthens the mind over time. It teaches you to listen more closely, to observe patterns, and to recognize motives without confrontation. The goal is not to avoid truth but to protect it. Truth does not need constant defense. It stands firm even without explanation. By choosing when to speak and when to remain silent, you act in harmony with reason. You free yourself from the pressure to react and place yourself in a position of calm strength. Calm exposes manipulation because manipulation depends on reaction. It feeds on emotional movement, sudden words, raised voices, and hurried explanations. When there is no reaction, manipulation has nothing to hold on to. A steady mind becomes like still water, and in still water, every false movement is visible. Those who seek to control others often try to disturb their inner balance first. They provoke, accuse, or rush. Their aim is not truth but response. Once emotions take over, reason steps aside. Calm prevents this exchange from happening. It keeps the mind clear and unshaken, making dishonest intentions easier to notice. A person who remains calm does not need to win the moment. They are not concerned with appearing right or proving strength. This lack of urgency removes the manipulator's advantage. Without emotional leverage, the manipulator is forced to reveal themselves through repetition, exaggeration, or contradiction. Calmness creates time. It slows the pace of the interaction. Manipulation relies on speed, on pushing decisions before thought can catch up. When you remain calm, you naturally delay action. This delay is not weakness. It is space for observation. In that space, patterns emerge and intentions become clear. Emotional reactions blur perception. Anger narrows vision. Fear shortens thought. Excitement weakens judgment. Calm clears the mind of these distortions. It allows you to hear not just what is said, but why it is said. Tone, timing, and pressure become more noticeable when your inner state is stable. Many manipulators expect resistance or submission. They are prepared for both. What they are not prepared for is composure. Calmness denies them the conflict they seek and the control they desire. It places you outside their script. When their tactics fail, they often grow impatient, and impatience exposes intent. A calm response also protects dignity. It prevents you from saying words you may later regret. Once spoken, words cannot be reclaimed. Calm gives you ownership over your speech. It allows you to choose precision instead of impulse, clarity instead of noise. Remaining calm does not mean agreeing or accepting wrongdoing. It means refusing to let your emotions be used against you. You can disagree without hostility. You can refuse without anger. Calm strengthens boundaries by making them firm rather than reactive. Manipulation often hides behind urgency. Statements like, "Answer now, decide quickly," or "This is your last chance," are meant to bypass thought. Calm breaks this illusion. A composed mind understands that most urgency is manufactured. True matters remain true even after time has passed. When you are calm, you are less predictable. Manipulators rely on predictable reactions. They study patterns and press the same buttons repeatedly. Calm disrupts these patterns. It forces them to adjust, and in adjusting, they reveal their strategy. Inner stillness also affects the environment. Calm lowers tension. It changes the direction of the exchange. Others may notice the imbalance between your composure and the other person's pressure. This contrast weakens manipulation without confrontation. Calm is not passive. It is active self-control. It is the decision to govern your inner state rather than surrender it to external forces. This control is a form of quiet power. It does not announce itself, yet it shapes every interaction. Over time, calm becomes a shield. It trains the mind to pause, assess, and choose. It removes the need to defend ego and replaces it with clarity. When emotions are steady, truth stands on its own, and falsehood struggles to remain hidden. By maintaining calm, you deny manipulation its greatest ally. You remain present, aware, and self-directed. In that state, deception loses its strength, pressure loses its urgency, and control returns to where it belongs. Silence is a form of strength because it is chosen, not forced. It is the result of control over impulse, not the absence of thought. Many speak because they feel pushed to speak. Silence comes from the ability to remain steady when pressure is applied. This steadiness is not empty. It is full of awareness. Most people fear silence. They rush to fill it with words, explanations, or defenses. This fear reveals dependency on approval and control by others. A strong mind does not need constant expression to confirm its value. It knows that worth is not measured by how quickly one responds, but by how wisely one chooses to respond. Silence protects clarity. When emotions rise, words often become careless. Anger sharpens the tongue. Fear weakens judgment. Silence prevents the mind from acting before it has fully understood. It allows emotions to settle and reason to regain its place. In this way, silence guards against self-inflicted harm. Those who manipulate often dislike silence. It removes their ability to steer the exchange. They rely on response to maintain influence. When there is no response, they lose momentum. They may repeat themselves, exaggerate, or change tactics. Each move reveals more than words ever could. Silence becomes a mirror in which their intentions are reflected. Silence also preserves energy. Words cost effort. Explanations drain focus. Arguments exhaust the spirit. By choosing silence, you conserve strength for matters that truly deserve attention. You stop wasting effort on those who are not seeking understanding. There is also dignity in restraint. A person who speaks only when necessary carries weight. Their words are not scattered or cheap, they are deliberate. Silence builds this weight over time. It teaches others that access to your thoughts is not automatic, but earned through respect and sincerity. Silence does not mean avoidance of truth. It means respect for timing. Truth spoken at the wrong moment can become noise. Silence allows truth to wait until it can be heard. It prevents wisdom from being wasted on closed ears. Many conflicts grow not from disagreement but from unnecessary speech. A single word spoken without care can turn a small issue into a lasting wound. Silence interrupts this chain. It stops escalation before it begins. It creates space where peace can exist. A silent response can also be a boundary. It communicates refusal without aggression. It says no without explanation. This form of boundary is difficult to challenge because it offers nothing to argue against. It stands firm without inviting resistance. Silence strengthens observation. When you are not speaking, you are watching. You notice shifts in tone, posture, and behavior. You see inconsistencies. You understand more by saying less. This understanding increases self-command and reduces vulnerability. Inner silence is equally important. A quiet mind is not crowded by constant reaction. It is stable. From this stability, better choices emerge. External silence often leads to internal order, where thoughts are clearer and intentions more precise. Choosing silence requires courage. It goes against habit and expectation. Society rewards quick answers and loud voices, but strength is not always visible. Sometimes it appears as restraint, patience, and composure under pressure. Silence keeps you aligned with what you can control. You cannot control how others speak or act. You can control whether you engage. By withholding response, you reclaim authority over your inner state. You are no longer pulled by provocation or urgency. Through silence, you learn that you do not need to participate in every exchange. Some battles are avoided simply by not stepping onto the field. This choice preserves peace without surrendering integrity. Silence is not emptiness. It is presence without noise. It is awareness without reaction. It is strength that does not need to announce itself. Facts matter more than emotions because emotions change quickly while facts remain steady. Feelings rise and fall depending on mood, memory, or circumstance. Facts do not shift to match desire. A mind guided by reason learns to separate what is felt from what is true. This separation is essential for clear judgment. Emotions are natural. They signal internal states, but they are not reliable guides for decisions. Anger can exaggerate offense. Fear can invent danger. Pride can distort reality. When emotions take control, perception narrows and truth becomes secondary. Facts restore balance by grounding the mind in what can be verified. Many conflicts grow because emotions are treated as proof. Feeling hurt does not automatically mean harm was intended. Feeling certain does not make something true. When emotions replace facts, misunderstanding multiplies. A calm mind listens to feelings but does not obey them blindly. Those who seek to manipulate often appeal to emotion instead of evidence. They provoke guilt, fear, or sympathy to bypass reason. When attention shifts to feelings, questions stop being asked, facts are ignored. This is why emotional pressure is so effective and so dangerous. It distracts from reality. A person trained in reason returns to facts repeatedly. What was said? What was done? What can be observed? This practice cuts through confusion. It reduces drama. It keeps the discussion focused on reality rather than reaction. Emotions also cloud memory. Under stress, events are remembered incorrectly. Words are misheard. Intentions are assumed. Facts provide a reference point outside the mind. They help correct these distortions and prevent false conclusions. Relying on facts does not mean suppressing emotion. It means placing emotion in its proper place. Feelings can inform, but they should not rule. A steady mind allows emotion to pass without letting it decide the outcome. When facts lead, responsibility becomes clear. Problems are addressed directly. Solutions become possible. Emotional arguments often go in circles, repeating the same pain without resolution. Facts move forward. This approach also protects integrity. Speaking from facts rather than emotion prevents exaggeration and regret. Words remain accurate. Trust grows because consistency replaces impulse. In moments of conflict, emotions demand immediate release. Facts require patience. Choosing facts is choosing long-term clarity over short-term relief. This choice strengthens character. Others may resist facts because they challenge comfort. Emotion feels safer. It avoids accountability. A rational person does not force facts onto others, but they do not abandon them either. They remain anchored. When you focus on facts, you reduce personal attack. The issue becomes the behavior, not the identity. This shift lowers defensiveness and opens the door to understanding, even if agreement is not reached. Facts also protect self-respect. You are less likely to apologize for things you did not do or accept blame based on someone else's feelings alone. You remain fair to yourself and others. In daily life, this discipline builds resilience. Praise and criticism lose their power to shake you. You evaluate them against reality instead of emotion. Stability replaces reactivity. A fact-based mind is difficult to deceive. It questions gently. It verifies. It does not rush to judgment. It does not surrender clarity to emotional noise. By valuing facts over emotions, you align with what endures. You reduce confusion. You strengthen judgment. You act from understanding rather than impulse. Trust is earned, not demanded, because it grows from consistent action, not from words or pressure. No one has the right to request trust simply because they want it. Trust develops slowly through behavior that proves reliability over time. A rational mind understands this and refuses to confuse obligation with confidence. Those who demand trust often do so to avoid accountability. By pushing for immediate belief, they try to bypass observation. They want acceptance without examination. This urgency is a warning sign. True trust does not fear time. It welcomes scrutiny. Words are easy to offer. Promises cost little. Actions require effort and consistency. A wise person watches what is done, not what is said. Patterns reveal character far more clearly than declarations. One honest act does not establish trust, just as one mistake does not destroy it. Trust is built through repetition. Emotional pressure is commonly used to force trust. Phrases that appeal to loyalty, friendship, or fear of conflict are meant to weaken judgment. They suggest that hesitation is betrayal. A steady mind rejects this false choice. Caution is not cruelty. Discernment is not disloyalty. Trust also involves risk. Giving it without reason exposes you to harm. Reasonable caution is a form of self-respect. It recognizes that protection of one's inner and outer life is a responsibility, not a flaw. A person who values stability does not hand over trust to avoid discomfort. There is a difference between openness and trust. Openness is willingness to engage. Trust is willingness to rely. Confusing the two leads to disappointment. You can listen without believing. You can be polite without committing. This distinction preserves balance. When trust is demanded, power is often the goal. Demands remove choice. Trust given under pressure is not genuine, it is compliance. Genuine trust exists only when it is freely given. Anything else is control disguised as closeness. A rational person also understands that trust can change. It is not a permanent state. It adjusts as behavior changes. When actions become inconsistent, trust weakens. This is not punishment. It is response to reality. Holding on to trust when evidence no longer supports it leads to self-betrayal. Trust begins with small things. Reliability in minor matters matters more than grand gestures. Consistency in routine shows more truth than dramatic effort. Over time, these small proofs accumulate into confidence. It is also important to trust yourself. Ignoring your own observations to satisfy others damages inner stability. Self-trust grows when you honor what you see and feel without distortion. This inner alignment strengthens judgment and reduces confusion. When trust is earned properly, it creates calm. There is no need for constant reassurance or control. Mutual respect replaces fear. But this calm cannot be rushed. It arrives only when both sides accept that trust must grow naturally. Refusing to give immediate trust does not mean you expect harm. It means you respect process. You allow reality to speak before belief is formed. This patience prevents regret and resentment. Some people mistake boundaries for mistrust. Boundaries are signs of clarity. They define where trust begins and ends. Without boundaries, trust becomes reckless. With them, it becomes stable. A disciplined mind remains open but not naive. It allows time, observation, and experience to guide belief. In doing so, it protects both dignity and peace. Do not accept false frames because a frame decides the meaning of everything that follows. When a false frame is accepted, even truthful words become tools against you. A frame is the structure around a question or statement that defines how it must be answered. If the structure itself is dishonest, any response inside it leads away from truth. False frames often appear as assumptions hidden inside questions. They push you to agree with something untrue before you even speak. By answering, you confirm the assumption. This is how control begins. A calm and disciplined mind learns to recognize this pattern and refuses to participate. Many false frames are emotional. They suggest blame, guilt, or obligation without evidence. Others present limited choices as if only two options exist. This removes nuance and forces you into a corner. Reality is rarely so narrow. A rational person notices when complexity is being erased. Accepting a false frame shifts the conversation away from facts and toward defense. Instead of discussing what actually happened, you begin explaining yourself. The focus moves from truth to justification. This benefits the one who set the frame, not the one seeking clarity. False frames also steal authority. They position the other person as judge and you as defendant. Once this role is accepted, equality disappears. A steady mind does not argue from a position it did not choose. It reclaims balance by questioning the frame itself. You are not required to answer a question just because it is asked. You are allowed to challenge its premise. You are allowed to refuse it entirely. This refusal is not avoidance. It is alignment with reality. Truth does not need to accept distortion to be expressed. Manipulation often relies on speed. False frames are presented quickly, leaving little time to reflect. This urgency pressures agreement. Calm disrupts this tactic. By slowing down, you give yourself space to examine what is being assumed. Recognizing false frames requires attention. It means listening not just to words, but to implications. It means noticing what is being smuggled into the conversation. This skill grows with practice and self-control. Some false frames appeal to identity. They suggest that disagreement means you are a bad person, disloyal, or unkind. These frames exploit the desire to be seen positively. A rational person separates behavior from identity and refuses to accept labels as arguments. Others appeal to fear. They suggest consequences that are exaggerated or unproven. Fear narrows thinking and makes false frames harder to detect. Calm restores perspective and allows reason to question the story being told. When you reject a false frame, the other person may resist. They may repeat the question or accuse you of avoiding the issue. This reaction often confirms the frame was false. Honest questions do not fear clarification. Rejecting a false frame does not require confrontation. It can be done quietly. A simple pause, a request for clarity, or a refusal to engage. These responses maintain dignity and reduce escalation. By refusing false frames, you protect your inner order. You stay rooted in what is real rather than what is implied. You prevent conversations from being steered into confusion and conflict. This discipline also strengthens self-respect. You stop allowing others to define your position unfairly. You choose where to stand and how to speak. Over time, this consistency builds confidence and clarity. A mind trained in reason does not fight every claim. It examines the structure beneath it. It understands that clarity begins before words are exchanged. By refusing false frames, you remain aligned with truth and preserve control of your own understanding. Privacy is not guilt, because the right to keep parts of your life unseen is a form of self-respect, not a sign of wrongdoing. A calm and rational mind understands that openness has limits. Not everything that is personal must be shared, and not every question deserves access to your inner world. Many people confuse privacy with secrecy. Secrecy hides harm. Privacy protects boundaries. The difference lies in intent. Choosing not to share is often about safety, clarity, or peace, not deception. A disciplined mind recognizes this difference and does not feel compelled to explain it. Those who pressure others to reveal everything often seek control rather than truth. They use suspicion as leverage, implying that silence equals guilt. This tactic shifts the burden onto the quiet person, forcing them to defend a boundary they have every right to keep. A rational person does not accept this reversal. Privacy allows thought to remain undisturbed. When every detail is exposed, judgment from others begins to shape decisions. This weakens independence. A person who values inner freedom protects their private space carefully, knowing that clarity grows best without constant observation. The demand for full access often comes disguised as concern or honesty. Phrases that suggest trust or transparency may sound reasonable, but they ignore personal limits. Trust does not erase boundaries. It respects them. When boundaries are ignored, trust erodes rather than deepens. A calm person does not feel threatened by silence, either their own or others. They understand that some matters require time, reflection, or solitude. Immediate disclosure is not a measure of integrity. Thoughtful restraint often reflects maturity. Privacy also guards against misuse. Information once shared cannot be controlled. It can be misunderstood, exaggerated, or used unfairly. Protecting personal details is a way of protecting oneself from unnecessary harm. This is not fear, it is prudence. When someone insists that privacy signals guilt, they reveal their misunderstanding of human dignity. Guilt relates to action, privacy relates to choice. The two are not the same. A wise mind does not confuse them. Maintaining privacy strengthens boundaries. Boundaries define where responsibility begins and ends. Without them, others feel entitled to explanations and access. This entitlement leads to imbalance. Clear boundaries restore fairness in relationships. There is also strength in knowing when to withhold. Not every truth needs an audience. Some thoughts are still forming. Some experiences are personal. Sharing too soon can distort understanding. Silence gives space for clarity. A rational person does not use privacy to escape accountability. When responsibility is required, it is accepted. But accountability does not require full exposure. It requires honesty within appropriate limits. Privacy supports inner stability. It allows reflection without interruption. It gives room for self-examination. Without this space, the mind becomes reactive, shaped more by outside voices than by reason. Pressure to disclose often increases during conflict. Emotions run high and demands for explanation multiply. A steady mind resists this pressure. It understands that forced disclosure rarely leads to understanding. It often leads to regret. Choosing privacy is an act of self-governance. It shows that you are not driven by fear of suspicion or desire for approval. You decide what to share based on reason, not pressure. A person comfortable with privacy does not feel the need to prove innocence through exposure. They trust that integrity stands on its own. They remain calm, clear, and grounded, knowing that their inner life is theirs to protect. Privacy is not guilt, because a person has the right to choose what they reveal and what they keep to themselves. Keeping something private does not mean it is wrong. It means it is personal. A calm mind understands that life has inner spaces that do not belong to the public or to anyone who asks. Many people assume that honesty requires full exposure. This belief is flawed. Honesty is about truthfulness, not total access. You can be honest without being open about everything. A rational person knows the difference and does not confuse boundaries with deception. Pressure to explain often comes from mistrust or control. When someone says, "If you have nothing to hide, why not tell me?" they are not asking for clarity. They are creating suspicion. This shifts the burden onto you, forcing you to defend a natural boundary. A steady mind does not accept this false logic. Privacy protects peace. Constant explanation invites constant judgment. When others have unlimited access to your thoughts, choices, or past, their opinions begin to shape your actions. This weakens independence. A person who values inner freedom keeps certain things private to remain clear and self-directed. There is also safety in privacy. Information shared cannot be taken back. It can be misunderstood, twisted, or used at the wrong time. Choosing silence in such moments is not fear, it is awareness. A disciplined mind protects itself without apology. Some believe that trust removes the need for privacy. This is not true. Even in strong relationships, privacy remains important. Trust respects boundaries rather than erasing them. When privacy is violated in the name of trust, trust itself begins to break. Privacy allows growth. Thoughts need time to develop before they are spoken. Decisions need space before they are judged. When everything is exposed too early, learning becomes harder. Silence gives room for reflection and improvement. A calm person does not feel guilty for saying little. They do not rush to fill silence to ease others' discomfort. They understand that discomfort does not require explanation. Boundaries do not need permission. Privacy also prevents unnecessary conflict. Many arguments exist only because too much was shared with the wrong people. By choosing discretion, you reduce friction and preserve harmony. This is not avoidance. It is wisdom. When someone accuses privacy of being guilt, they reveal their misunderstanding of responsibility. Guilt comes from harmful action. Privacy comes from choice. Mixing the two leads to unfair judgment. A rational person separates them clearly. You are not required to explain yourself to everyone who asks. You are not required to share your plans, fears, or thoughts to prove innocence. Integrity does not depend on exposure, it depends on action. A steady mind remains calm under suspicion. It does not overreact or overshare. It allows truth to stand without constant defense. Over time, this consistency speaks louder than any explanation. Privacy strengthens self-respect. It teaches you that your inner life has value. It belongs to you. When you protect it, you reinforce inner stability and clarity. Choosing privacy is choosing self-command. It is deciding that your worth does not depend on constant transparency. It is understanding that silence can be clean, honest, and strong self-control is true power, because it places command where it belongs, within the mind rather than in the hands of circumstance or other people. Many believe power is the ability to dominate, to speak loudly, or to force outcomes. This belief mistakes noise for strength. Real power is quiet. It is the ability to remain steady when provoked and clear when pressured. A person without self-control is easily moved. A word, a look, a question can push them into anger, fear, or defense. In that state, they are no longer choosing their actions. They are reacting. Reaction hands control to the outside world. Self-control takes it back. Emotions are not enemies, but they are poor leaders. When emotions rule, reason follows behind. Self-control allows emotions to exist without allowing them to decide. It creates a pause between feeling and action. In that pause, choice lives. Those who lack self-control often believe they are being honest when they speak impulsively. In truth, they are being predictable. Predictability makes a person easy to influence. A disciplined mind is harder to read and harder to steer. This is why self-control unsettles those who rely on manipulation. Self-control also protects speech. Words spoken in haste often carry regret. Once released, they cannot be withdrawn. A person who governs their tongue governs many outcomes. Silence chosen deliberately is often more powerful than words spoken without thought. The need to respond immediately is a common weakness. Urgency creates the illusion that delay equals defeat. A calm mind sees through this. It understands that most situations improve with time and worsen with impulse. Waiting is an act of strength. Self-control is not suppression. It is alignment. It is acting according to reason rather than impulse. Suppression buries emotion. Control observes it and chooses not to obey blindly. This difference matters because buried emotion returns stronger, while understood emotion passes. A self-controlled person does not need to prove anything in the moment. They do not chase validation or defend ego. This freedom makes them difficult to provoke. Insults lose force. Pressure loses urgency. The mind remains clear. Power that depends on others' reactions is fragile. Power rooted in self-command is stable. External power can be taken away. Internal power remains regardless of circumstance. This is why self-control endures when status, strength, or approval disappear. In conflict, self-control shifts the balance. While others escalate, the controlled mind de-escalates. While others speak, it listens. This contrast reveals more than argument ever could. The one who remains composed often sees the situation most clearly. Self-control also builds trust in oneself. Each time you choose restraint, you reinforce the belief that you can handle difficulty without losing direction. This confidence reduces fear and anxiety. You no longer worry as much about what others might do or say. The practice of self-control strengthens over time. Each small act of restraint makes the next easier. The mind becomes trained like a muscle, responding with calm instead of chaos. What once felt difficult becomes natural. Many people fear that self-control will make them weak or distant. In reality, it makes them reliable. Others may not always like it, but they respect it. Respect lasts longer than approval. Self-control allows you to choose your battles. You no longer waste energy on every challenge or insult. You conserve strength for what truly matters. This conservation is strategic, not passive. A disciplined mind does not deny desire, anger, or fear. It simply refuses to be ruled by them. This refusal is freedom. It is the freedom to act with clarity even when the world is loud. When self-control is present, reactions slow, perception sharpens, and decisions align with long-term values rather than short-term emotion. In this state, power is not displayed but exercised quietly, steadily, and without need for recognition.